Congratulations on your new post. This is a caretaker government which is going to hold the fort until elections. Do you think it can bring some stability to Tunisia?
I hope so. I hope so. I was in the second government. If you saw the Prime Minister yesterday describing the situation and what are the objectives of this government. The first try was to have a government of union representing all the political parties. We didn't succeed on that because the political picture in Tunisia is moving every week, of course, every 2 weeks. So the idea is now with the third government to have a government that will focus on achieving the day-to-day management of the country and having this commission where all the political parties will discuss and propose a consensual electorate picture and how we will conduct the election until the 24th of July.
Do you know when the parliamentary and presidential elections will be held?
It will be discussed on this commission. It's not, of course, it's not discussed yet. The idea is there is a constitutional election that will, the purpose of the parliament will be to build the new constitution starting from the 24th of July. Then will it be parliamentary or presidential? It will be discussed, I suppose, in that constitutional first parliament.
Okay, because it's crucial for the people who've been protesting for change in Tunisia that those elections are held as soon as is reasonably possible.
Yeah, and the date of the 24th July has been decided. Of course, that's maybe, it's just 4 months starting from now, exactly. So the idea is to have the real representation of all the political parties within the country. Some existed, of course, historically, and some are under, if you heard about the number of parties that requested, in fact, to exist, and I guess some of them have been already accepted. So I think that we are starting a new area in this country with democracy under building. I hope that we will have the best representation of all the tendency within the country, and this commission will make the best to allow everyone to have his opinion, of course, shared and discussed until we find the right consensus for the first election.
Okay, what about the dismantling of the very unpopular police unit? People want justice for any wrongdoing that they did. Are we going to see any prosecutions?
This question is, of course, due to the history of the country. The country has been conducting during a long period of time with just one party and not allowing really democracy within the country, and needed tools to allow this dictatorship. So the police, the political police, of course, was a tool of the power of the country within the country to achieve the goal. So now that we are starting a new area with democracy, we don't need any more such kind of tools.
Okay, good to speak with you. Thanks very much indeed. Yassine Ibrahim, the new Transport Minister for Tunisia there. Now, police in Scotland say they've arrested a 30-year-old man in connection with a suicide bombing in Sweden. Taimur Abdul Wahab, a Swedish national of Middle Eastern descent, was killed in December when his bomb went off prematurely. Police believe he'd intended to attack a train station or department store in central Stockholm. Now, it was one of his most famous presidential pledges to close Guantanamo Bay prison camp and move military trials to civilian courts. But the detention center in Cuba remains open, and now Barack Obama has taken a U-turn by giving the order for military trials to resume. John Terrett reports.
Just after he took office, President Obama promised to keep a campaign pledge and close Guantanamo within 1 year.
It is a rallying cry for our enemies. It sets back the willingness of our allies to work with us in fighting an enemy that operates in scores of countries. By any measure, the cost of keeping it open far exceed the complications involved in closing it.
Obama also stopped the controversial Bush-era military trial system and promised a full review. Now, 2 years on, Guantanamo is still open and the military trials are back. The White House says it's made the system fairer, but critics see it as a return to square one.
The ironic aspect of this is that President Bush established this kind of review mechanism President Obama set up this kind of a mechanism when he took office, and now this is the third iteration. I have no reason to believe that this new system is going to be any better than the two systems that it has already replaced.
The issue of what to do about Guantanamo Bay has dogged Obama's presidency from the beginning. His political opponents and some of those in his own party have blocked his efforts. The White House wanted to move and try some detainees in U.S. courts, but Congress made that impossible. Obama has also found it hard to find countries willing to take those released from Guantanamo, and his administration now says some prisoners will just stay locked up without trial indefinitely. Now that the review into detention policy at Guantanamo Bay has been completed, charges are expected soon for at least 3 detainees who were charged under the Bush administration and who've been deemed eligible to stand trial, but whose cases were dropped in 2009 so the review could take place. John Terrett, Al Jazeera, Washington.
To Malaysia now, where the opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim has won an apparent legal victory. Anwar Ibrahim is accused of sodomy against a former male aide. A High Court judge has ruled that 3 samples of DNA submitted by the police are inadmissible because they were obtained unfairly. It's the second time Anwar has faced such a charge. He served prison time for sodomy but was released when the court overturned the conviction in 2004. Al Jazeera's Veronica Pedrosa spoke to Anwar Ibrahim just after the court decision.
What's the significance of the judge's decision this morning?
It exposes the flaws in the legal system and the manner the prosecution, under the instruction of the political leaders, arrested me unlawfully. In fact, we said unconstitutionally, preferred a charge, and now the entire fraudulent process is being exposed.
What's the next step then, both politically and legally for you?
Now that the judge admitted that the taking of the samples and manner of arrest was unlawful, it puts the prosecution in a very bad light. No longer a prosecution but persecution of a political opponent. So I think now what is left with the prosecution is to admit that they've blundered in the case, that the whole charge is is a sacrilege attack on my character. I've denied completely this fallacious, irresponsible charge.
What do you think your case shows about the police conduct?
Those who are familiar with the systems under Mubarak or Ben Ali shouldn't be surprised. The manner institutions of governance have been used just to intimidate the opposition. And it is regrettable that we have now exposed. There was a lot of hope that there should be a reform within the police and the judicial system. Now we have exposed, after 98, now in 2008 until now, the police still continue with impunity.
Now, it's International Women's Day, a celebration of the economic, political and social achievements of women. Melissa Chan has been to meet a software engineer in China who's achieved great things in a traditionally male-dominated industry.
Welcome to Baidu, the reigning champion of online search services in